My wife calls me her rock. Turns out she meant the one she'd throw through her own window. I'm Miles Harren, 38, architect by trade, fool by marriage. The irony isn't lost on me that I design buildings for a living while my own house, metaphorically and literally, crumbles around me. Half the kitchen renovation sits abandoned, cabinet doors hanging like broken promises, exposing the hollow spaces where our life used to make sense. Miles, can you grab the wine glasses from upstairs? Tessa calls from the living room where her girlfriends have gathered for their weekly gossip session. Her voice carries that false sweetness she reserves for public consumption. I trudge upstairs, past the bathroom we started gutting 6 months ago. The mirror leans against the wall, reflecting nothing but disappointment. Through the thin walls, I hear Tessa's friends cackling below. So, Rowan's really doing the Riverside project? That's Monica, always hungry for details about other people's success. Oh yes, and it's going to be massive. The city contract alone is worth $2 million. Tessa's voice drops to a conspiratorial whisper. He showed me the blueprints last week. Brilliant work. My hand freezes on the wine glasses. Rowan Eldridge, the contractor who drives around town in that ridiculous Ford Raptor like he owns the place. Flashy, loud, everything I'm not. Lucky you getting to see his private work, Elle giggles. I bet he has lots of impressive projects. The way they laugh makes my stomach turn. There's something underneath their words, some shared knowledge I'm not part of. I grab the glasses and head back downstairs, but pause at the landing when I hear my name. Does Miles know how much you're helping with the design consultation? That's Tasha, Tessa's oldest friend. Miles doesn't need to know everything about my work. He has his projects, I have mine. The casual dismissal in her voice hits harder than a slap. I've been married to this woman for 8 years, and suddenly I feel like a stranger in my own home. I deliver the glasses with a smile that feels carved from stone. Here you go, ladies. Don't let me interrupt. Oh, Miles, you're such a sweetheart, Monica gushes. Tessa's so lucky to have a husband who supports her career. If only she knew how much support I've been providing. The $40,000 I loaned Tessa's design business last year. The connections I've shared. The late nights I've spent alone while she worked on mysterious projects. After the women leave, I find Tessa in the kitchen, loading the dishwasher with unusual efficiency. Good evening, I ask. Wonderful. Monica's thinking of hiring me for her lake house renovation. She doesn't look at me when she speaks, focusing intently on arranging plates. That's great. What about the Riverside project they mentioned? Her hands still for just a moment. What about it? Sounded like you're involved somehow. Just consulting work, nothing major. She closes the dishwasher with more force than necessary. I'm exhausted, going to bed early. She kisses my cheek, a quick peck that feels rehearsed, and disappears upstairs. I stand in our half-finished kitchen, surrounded by the evidence of abandoned plans, and wonder when my wife became such a skilled liar. The next morning, Tessa's already gone when I wake up. No note, no goodbye, just the lingering scent of her expensive perfume and a coffee mug in the sink. Her laptop sits open on the kitchen counter, forgotten in her rush. I shouldn't look. I know I shouldn't. But that conversation from last night keeps replaying in my head, and before I can stop myself, I'm scrolling through her email. Most of it's mundane, client communications, vendor quotes, spam. Then I see it. A message from yesterday afternoon, sender listed simply as R. Meeting confirmed for Thursday, 8 p.m., the penthouse suite as discussed. Bring the revised plans. Looking forward to seeing you. R. The penthouse. That's the boutique hotel downtown, the kind of place that charges $300 a night for what amounts to a fancy motel room with pretentious lighting. My hands shake as I screenshot the message. Thursday. That's tonight. I call Neil, my best friend and the owner of Murphy's Tavern, the kind of dive bar that serves as unofficial therapy for half the city's working class. She's meeting someone at the penthouse tonight, I tell him, without preamble. Slow down, Miles. Meeting who? Someone who signs emails with R. Wanna guess?
Neil's silence stretches long enough that I can hear the morning prep happening in his kitchen. Finally, Rowan Eldridge. That's my thinking. What are you going to do about it? That's the question, isn't it? What does a man do when he suspects his wife is betraying him? In movies, he hires a private investigator or confronts her directly. In real life, he sits in his half-renovated kitchen, staring at stolen evidence, and tries not to throw up. I'm going to follow her. Miles, I need to know, Neil. I need to see it for myself. Then you won't be going alone. Pick me up at 7:30. That evening, I sit in my car outside our house, engine running, waiting for Tessa to make her move. She told me she had a client dinner, some potential project that could really boost her business. I nodded and smiled and wished her luck, all while my phone buzzed with updates from Neil about his borrowed camera equipment. At 7:45, Tessa emerges from the house. She's dressed differently than usual, a black dress I've never seen, heels that click against the driveway with purpose. She doesn't take her car. Instead, she walks to the corner and stands under the streetlight like she's waiting for something. 3 minutes later, Rowan's ridiculous truck rounds the corner. Even in the dim light, I can see his silhouette behind the wheel, that cocky posture that screams entitlement. Tessa climbs into the passenger seat without hesitation, and they drive away. I follow at a distance, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles ache. They head straight downtown, just as I expected. The Penthouse Hotel sits on 5th Street, all glass and steel and manufactured elegance. I park across the street and watch them enter together. Neil appears at my passenger window, camera bag slung over his shoulder. You sure about this? No, but I'm doing it anyway. We cross the street and find a position near the hotel's side entrance, where a narrow alley provides cover and a clear view of the building's upper floors. The penthouse suite occupies the entire top floor, its floor-to-ceiling windows glowing warm against the night sky. There, Neil whispers, pointing up. 2 figures move past the windows. Even from this distance, there's no mistaking Tessa's silhouette or the way she moves toward the man waiting for her. They embrace, and my world tilts sideways. Neil's camera clicks softly beside me, capturing evidence I'm not sure I want to possess. If they only knew the real architect was sitting at home, renovating his kitchen. Speaking of home, Tessa's voice takes on a different tone. I should get back. Miles will start asking questions if I'm too late. Let him ask. After the Riverside contract is finalized, you won't need to worry about Miles anymore. What do you mean? I mean, you'll have enough money to start over, somewhere else, with someone who appreciates what you bring to the table. The silence that follows stretches so long, I wonder if they've moved away from the window. Then Tessa speaks, her voice barely audible. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. I climb down the fire escape on legs that feel like water, Neil's concerned face coming into focus as I reach the ground. What did you hear? I show him the recording on my phone. His expression grows darker with each passing second. Miles, this is bad. They're not just having an affair. They're stealing your work. We drive home in silence, the weight of what I've discovered settling over me like a burial shroud. In the space of one evening, my marriage has revealed itself to be a carefully constructed lie, and my professional integrity has been compromised by the person I trusted most. Tessa's car is already in the driveway when I arrive. I sit for a moment, staring at our house with its broken renovation and its broken promises, and try to figure out what comes next. Inside, I find her in the bedroom, already changed into pajamas, scrolling through her phone with casual indifference. How was the client dinner? Fine, productive. I think she'll hire me for the project. She doesn't look up from her screen. How was your evening? Enlightening. Something in my tone makes her glance up, probably to Rowan, planning their next move. I sit in my car for a moment, watching her. She looks happy, more animated than I've seen her in months. This double life agrees with her, apparently. My phone buzzes with a text from Neil. How did it go with the police? Better than expected, I type back. The net is closing. Need backup for the confrontation? I look at my house, at my wife gesturing inside, at the life I thought I knew, and make a decision. Not yet, but soon. Inside, Tessa greets me with unusual enthusiasm. Miles, perfect timing. I just got off the phone with a potential client. Big project, could really boost the business. She kisses my cheek, the same rehearsed gesture from yesterday. That's wonderful. What kind of project? Commercial development, mixed-use building with some really interesting structural challenges. Her eyes light up as she talks, and for a moment she looks like the woman I fell in love with. The foundation work alone will require some innovative thinking. Sounds like something I might be able to help with. Her expression shifts, just slightly. Oh, that's sweet, but I think I have it covered. Different type of project than what you usually work on. The lie comes so easily, so naturally, that I almost admire her skill. She's been practicing. Well, if you change your mind, you know where to find me. Actually, I might be working late again tonight. This client wants to meet for dinner to discuss the project details. Another dinner meeting? I know, but this could be really big for us, Miles, for our future. Our future. The words taste like ash in my mouth. Of course.
Do what you need to do. She smiles and heads upstairs to change, leaving me alone with my thoughts and my growing collection of evidence. Tonight, while she's having dinner with Rowan, I'll be having dinner with my attorney. Because if Tessa wants to plan our future, she's about to discover that I'm an architect too, and I'm very good at building things that last, even if what I'm building is her destruction. The irony isn't lost on me. All these years, she's been telling people I'm her rock. Tomorrow, she's going to find out what happens when the rock decides to throw itself. My attorney's name is Rebecca Martinez, and she has the kind of reputation that makes opposing counsel nervous. I found her 3 years ago when I needed help with a contract dispute, and she handled it with the efficiency of a surgeon and the ruthlessness of a shark. Her office occupies the top floor of a downtown building I designed 5 years ago. The irony of meeting here, surrounded by my own architectural work, to discuss the destruction of my marriage isn't lost on me. Miles, you look terrible, she says without preamble, gesturing for me to sit across from her massive oak desk. What's going on? I slide the folder of evidence across to her. Screenshots, financial records, the audio recording from last night, everything I've collected in the past 24 hours. My wife is having an affair with a contractor named Rowan Eldridge, but that's not the worst part. Rebecca opens the folder and starts reading, her expression growing more serious with each page. When she gets to the financial documents, she whistles softly. $340,000? That's just what the police found. I suspect there's more. She continues reading, occasionally making notes on a legal pad. When she reaches the screenshots of the stolen design files, she looks up. Miles, this isn't just adultery. This is systematic theft of intellectual property and embezzlement. You could file both civil and criminal charges. What about my daughter? Nora's 6, right? In cases like this, where one parent has engaged in fraud that affects the family's financial stability, courts tend to favor the non-offending parent for primary custody. The weight I've been carrying for days lifts slightly. So she'd be safe? More than safe. And, given the prenuptial agreement you signed, she flips through the documents until she finds what she's looking for. Here it is. Clause 15. Material misrepresentation or fraud by either party shall render this agreement null and void regarding asset division. What does that mean in practical terms? It means Tessa gets nothing. The house, your business, your retirement accounts, all of it stays with you. She'll be entitled to whatever she can prove she earned independently, but given that her business was funded with your money, she gets nothing. Correct. And Miles, there's something else. The fertility clinic records you found. If she lied about her medical condition to manipulate you into marriage or to explain away paternity issues, that's grounds for annulment in addition to divorce. Paternity issues. The thought hadn't occurred to me, but now it sits in my stomach like a stone. Nora has Tessa's dark hair and eyes, but she also has my stubborn chin and my habit of tilting her head when she's thinking. I want a DNA test. I can arrange that. Discreet, court-admissible result. But Miles, are you prepared for what you might find? I'm prepared for the truth. Finally. Rebecca closes the folder and leans back in her chair. Here's what we're going to do. First, I file an emergency motion to freeze all joint accounts.
Second, I contact the state licensing board about Rowan's use of stolen intellectual property. Third, we prepare both divorce papers and criminal complaints. How long will all this take? The account freeze can happen tomorrow. The licensing complaint will take a few weeks to investigate. The divorce, that depends on how much Tessa wants to fight. She won't fight. She'll run. Then we make sure she can't take anything with her when she goes. I leave Rebecca's office feeling something I haven't felt in months: hope. Not for my marriage, that's beyond saving, but for justice. For the first time since this nightmare began, I'm not the victim. I'm the architect of my own revenge. The DNA test kit arrives the next day in unmarked packaging. Simple cheek swabs, completely painless, results in 72 hours. I collect Nora's sample during our bedtime routine, telling her it's a fun science experiment. What kind of science, Daddy? The kind that helps us understand families better. She accepts this explanation with the trusting simplicity of a 6-year-old, and I feel another piece of my heart break. Whatever else happens, I won't let this destroy her innocence. Tessa comes home late again, full of stories about her successful client dinner. She's glowing with excitement, talking about contracts and deadlines and opportunities. If I didn't know better, I'd think she was genuinely happy about her work. The project timeline is aggressive, she says, hanging her coat in the closet.
We'll need to move fast to meet the city's requirements. City requirements? Oh, just standard permitting stuff. Nothing you'd find interesting. Another lie. The Riverside project, my project, doesn't require any special city permits beyond the standard commercial construction approvals. She's not even bothering to make her lies believable anymore. Tessa, can I ask you something? She freezes, halfway to the stairs. Of course. Are you happy? The question seems to surprise her. She turns around, and for a moment, her mask slips. I see something raw in her expression, something that might be guilt or regret. What kind of question is that? An honest one. Are you happy with our life? With our marriage? She sits down on the bottom step, suddenly looking exhausted. Miles, why are you asking me this? Because I love you, and I want you to be happy. It's not entirely a lie. Some part of me, the part that remembers falling in love with her 8 years ago, still wants her to be happy. It's just that I now understand her happiness requires my destruction. I'm going through some things right now, work stress mostly. But yes, I'm happy. We're happy. Good. That's all I wanted to know. She studies my face, looking for something she can't quite identify. Miles, are you okay? You've seemed different lately. Just tired. The renovation, work pressures, nothing that won't resolve itself soon. She nods and heads upstairs, but I catch her glancing back at me with an expression I can't read. Suspicion? Concern? Guilt? It doesn't matter. Tomorrow, Rebecca files the paperwork that will freeze our accounts. By the end of the week, Rowan's licensing board will have a formal complaint about stolen intellectual property. The wheels are in motion. My phone buzzes with a text from Neil. How did it go with the lawyer? Better than expected. The foundation is solid. Good. When do you bring down the house? I look around our half-renovated kitchen, at the abandoned projects and broken promises, at the physical manifestation of our marriage's slow collapse. Soon. Very soon. That night, I lie in bed listening to Tessa's breathing and thinking about architecture. Every building starts with a foundation, and every foundation has stress points, places where the structure is most vulnerable to collapse. I've spent my career understanding those stress points, learning how to reinforce them or exploit them, depending on what the project requires. Tessa's life, I'm beginning to understand, has stress points too. Her relationship with Rowan, built on lies and stolen work. Her finances, dependent on money she's taken illegally. Her reputation, based on designs she's claimed as her own. All I have to do is apply the right pressure in the right places, and everything she's built will come crashing down. The thought should disturb me more than it does. Instead, as I drift off to sleep, I find myself smiling for the first time in weeks. After all, I'm an architect. Controlled demolition is just another skill in my toolkit. The account freeze hits Tessa like a structural failure, sudden, devastating, and impossible to ignore.
I'm at work when Rebecca calls with the news. It's done. Every joint account, the business credit lines, even the investment portfolio, nothing moves without court approval. How long before she finds out? Probably when she tries to access funds later today. Miles, are you somewhere safe? Sometimes people react
Poorly to financial surprises. I look around my office with its familiar drafting tables and architectural models and realize this might be the last normal day I have for a while. I'll be fine. What about the licensing complaint? Filed this morning with the state board. They take intellectual property theft seriously, especially when it involves public contracts. Rowan Eldridge is about to have a very bad week. After hanging up, I try to focus on work, but concentration is impossible. Every few minutes, I check my phone, expecting angry calls or texts from Tessa. The silence is almost worse than confrontation would be. At 3:30, my phone finally rings. Tessa's name on the screen. Miles, something's wrong with our accounts. I tried to transfer money for the Morrison project, and the bank says there's a freeze. Do you know anything about this? Her voice is carefully controlled, but I can hear the panic underneath. A freeze? That's strange. What kind of freeze? They won't tell me, just that no transactions can be processed without court authorization. Miles, this could ruin the Morrison project. I need that money today. Have you called the bank directly? Of course I called the bank. They referred me to some legal department. Miles, I'm scared. What if someone's stolen our identity? What if… Tessa, calm down. I'm sure it's just a misunderstanding. I'll call them when I get home. Can you call now? Please. I have a client meeting at 5, and if I can't access the project funds, I'll see what I can do. I hang up and immediately call Rebecca. She knows about the freeze, I tell her. Expected. How did she sound? Panicked. She mentioned a client meeting at 5. Probably with Rowan, trying to figure out damage control. Miles, this is where things get dangerous. Cornered people make desperate choices. What kind of desperate choices? The kind that involve moving assets offshore, destroying evidence, or disappearing entirely. We need to accelerate our timeline. How? Are you ready for the confrontation? I think about Nora, about the DNA results that should arrive tomorrow, about the 8 years of marriage that are about to explode into legal warfare. Yes, I'm ready. Good, because tonight, we end this. I leave work early and drive to Neil's bar. It's Thursday afternoon, slow time, with only a few regulars nursing beers and watching sports highlights on the ancient television above the bar. You look like a man about to jump off a cliff, Neil observes, sliding a coffee across the bar. More like a man about to push someone else off. I show him the text messages I've been receiving from Tessa all afternoon, increasingly frantic requests for information about the account freeze, mixed with reassurances that everything will be fine once we sort out this misunderstanding. She still doesn't know that you know. No, but that changes tonight. You want backup? I want a witness. Someone who can testify that I remained calm and rational while my world ended. Neil nods and reaches under the bar for something. When his hand comes back up, he's holding a small digital recorder. Voice activated, 24-hour battery life. Completely legal in this state, as long as one party consents to the recording. One party being me, one party being you. I pocket the device and check the time. 4:15. Tessa's client meeting starts in 45 minutes, which means she's probably already left the house. Neil, if this goes badly tonight, it won't. But if it does, I need you to promise me something. Nora comes first. Whatever happens to me, whatever legal mess this becomes, she gets protected. Miles, you're not going to do anything stupid, are you? No, but I'm going to do something permanent. The drive home feels longer than usual, like the city itself is giving me time to change my mind. But there's no changing course now. The evidence is collected, the legal papers are filed, and the trap is set. All that's left is springing it. Tessa's car isn't in the driveway, as expected. I park and sit for a moment, looking at our house with its half-finished renovation and its completely finished marriage. Tomorrow, everything will be different. Inside, I activate Neil's recorder and place it in my shirt pocket. Then I settle into the living room chair with the best view of the front door and wait. She arrives at 7:30, earlier than usual. Through the window, I watch her sit in her car for several minutes, probably talking on the phone.
When she finally comes inside, her expression is carefully neutral. Miles, I'm home. In the living room. She appears in the doorway, still wearing the black dress from this morning, but looking somehow diminished. The panic from our earlier phone call has been replaced by something harder to read. Did you talk to the bank? I did. And? Sit down, Tessa. Something in my tone makes her freeze. For the first time since this began, she's looking at me, really looking, and seeing something she doesn't recognize.
Miles, what's going on? I said, sit down. She perches on the edge of the couch, her purse clutched in her lap like a shield. You're scaring me. Good. You should be scared. I reach into the folder beside my chair and pull out the first piece of evidence, a screenshot of her email exchange with Rowan about stealing my designs. I found your laptop open yesterday morning. Interesting reading. Her face goes white as she recognizes the image on the paper. Miles, I can explain. No explanations. Not yet. We're going to go through this systematically, like the architectural review process. First, we establish the scope of the problem. I hand her the financial records showing the missing $340,000. Then, we assess the structural damage. The screenshots of her calendar showing months of meetings with Rowan that she'd hidden from me. Then, we determine if the foundation can be salvaged. The fertility clinic records, proving her lies about our conception struggles. With each piece of evidence, she shrinks further into the couch. By the time I finish, she's crying. Not the manipulative tears I've seen before, but raw, desperate sobs. Miles, please, let me explain. It's not what you think. Then tell me what it is. It started as just business. Rowan needed design help, and you were so busy with your own projects. I thought I could help him with some basic consulting. Using my work? Using ideas we'd discussed. I mean, we're married. What's yours is mine, right? The casual entitlement in that statement hits me like a physical blow. And the money? That was for investment. Rowan's company was growing, and he needed capital.
I thought we could be partners. Partners in business or partners in bed? She flinches like I've slapped her. Miles, I followed you to the penthouse hotel, Tessa. I heard your conversation with him. I know about everything. The last of her composure crumbles. She doubles over, sobbing into her hands, and for a moment, I almost feel sorry for her. I never meant for it to go this far, she whispers. It was supposed to be temporary, just until we got established. We? There is no we, Tessa. There's you and Rowan planning your future with my money and my work. And there's me, the fool who trusted you. She looks up, mascara streaking down her cheeks. What are you going to do? I've already done it. The accounts are frozen pending a criminal investigation. Rowan's licensing board has a formal complaint about intellectual property theft. And tomorrow morning, you're going to receive divorce papers. Miles, no. Please, think about Nora. Think about our family. I am thinking about Nora. That's why I ordered a DNA test. The words hit her like a physical blow. She staggers backward, nearly falling off the couch. You think she's not yours? I think you've lied about everything else. Why should I believe you about this? Because I love you. The words explode out of her with surprising force. I know I've made mistakes, but I love you. I love our family. No, Tessa. You love the life I provided. You love the security, the house, the respectability, but you don't love me. If you loved me, you wouldn't have spent 8 months laughing about my stupidity with your boyfriend. She opens her mouth to respond, but I hold up my hand. I'm not finished. You want to know what the worst part is? It's not the affair.
It's not even the theft. It's that you made me doubt myself. You made me think I was paranoid, jealous, imagining things. You made me feel crazy for noticing that my own wife had become a stranger. Miles, please. I faked every moment with you, I say, echoing her words from the penthouse. Every smile, every I love you, every time I pretended not to notice your lies. But I didn't fake the divorce papers I filed this morning. She stares at me in shock. You already filed? This afternoon. You'll be served tomorrow. For a long moment, we sit in silence. The weight of 8 years, the ruins of a marriage, the collapse of trust,
All of it hangs between us like smoke from a fire that has finally burned itself out. What happens now? She asks quietly. Now, you pack a bag and leave. Tonight. Where am I supposed to go? I don't care. Call Rowan. I'm sure he'll take you in, at least until he realizes you're both about to lose everything. She stands slowly, like an old woman, and heads toward the stairs. At the bottom step, she turns back. Miles, for what it's worth, I really did love you. Once. I know, I tell her. That's what makes this so unforgivable. She disappears upstairs, and I sit alone in our living room, listening to her move around above me. Drawers opening and closing, the sound of a suitcase being dragged from the closet, the quiet destruction of a life. 20 minutes later, she comes back downstairs with 2 bags and her laptop case. I'll come back for the rest when what? When you think I've calmed down? When you figured out how to manipulate this situation to your advantage? There is no when, Tessa. This is over. She nods and walks toward the door, then stops. The DNA test.
When you get the results and you see that Nora is yours, I hope you'll remember that I gave you the best thing in both our lives. You're right. Nora is the best thing in my life. But you didn't give her to me, Tessa. We created her together, back when we were still real, before you turned our marriage into a business transaction. She leaves without another word, and I watch through the window as she loads her bags into her car and drives away. The house feels different immediately. Not empty, but clean, like a building after the demolition crew has removed all the damaged materials. I call Neil to let him know it's over. How do you feel? Like an architect who just completed a very difficult project. And Nora? I pick her up from my mother's tomorrow morning. I'll explain that Mommy had to go away for work, and we'll figure out the rest as we go. The DNA results? Come back tomorrow. But honestly, Neil, it doesn't matter what they say. She's my daughter. She's been my daughter for 6 years, and she'll be my daughter for the rest of my life. After hanging up, I walk through the house, seeing it clearly for the first time in months. The half-finished renovation that drove me crazy suddenly looks like potential instead of failure. The broken cabinet doors can be fixed. The exposed walls can be finished. The foundation is solid. Tomorrow will bring lawyers and complications and the messy business of untangling 8 years of shared life. But tonight, for the first time in months, I'm alone in my own house, and it feels like home. I pour myself a drink and sit in my kitchen, surrounded by the evidence of abandoned projects, and start planning the renovation, not just of the house, but of my life. After all, I'm an architect.
Building something better from the ruins is what I do best.